job. But I think it's important that those things are put in place to ensure that lives are protected and lives are safe. There are no half measures in this game. If you get it wrong, if you don't have discipline, if you're not focused, if you're not militant as a minister, if you don't care about what happens, or if you say, well, it's just an act of God and these things are inevitable, you're not giving the flyers much confidence. And in fact, what you're basically saying is that you really don't care. And I don't think that's good enough. We need competence, we need focus, we need militancy, and we need a total and complete dedication to the cause of protecting lives, almost to the point of paranoia, because that's what you need in this sector. You also need something else. When a plane crashes, when we were there, if a plane crashed, the whole airline is grounded, everything is checked to ensure that all their planes are okay. And even before they're allowed to fly again, you had to ensure that you paid the compensation to all the families that had been bereaved in the crash. And consequently, Sosoliso and ADC have never flown again simply because they couldn't meet up to those measures. Bellevue did, and that's why they started flying again after their own crash. Now, it's interesting that last year when Dana crashed, all this was thrown overboard. They had not paid all their compensation. They were allowed to fly again. They did the checks. They said they were okay. In fact, the minister said a few days after the crash that they were one of the best airlines. And a year later, they've grounded them again. Now, this is an inconsistency. You need to ensure that, and up till today, I might add, the compensation has not been paid by Dana to all the families. I know because some of their lawyers are friends of mine. And I think that's a ridiculous situation. If you want to ensure that airlines don't cut corners, what you have to do is have strict measures in place and let them know that, look, if you crash, you will not fly again unless your fleet is 100% and they've been checked and cleared by NCAA, and that you've paid all the necessary compensation to all the various families that lost their loved ones. Once you can do that, you'll be allowed to fly again. But to say it really doesn't matter and we have to measure, go to international best practices and allow them to fly, it doesn't create an incentive for them to do the right thing. And I think that's why we're back to square one and Dana has now been grounded again. But having said all this, I want to repeat, I really don't want to make life more difficult for them. And this is not about opposition and government politics. When it comes to things like this, we rise above our political affiliations or whether we're in opposition or government. We're talking as Nigerians, as human beings, and men and women of compassion. I don't want to make life more difficult for them by criticizing them now. We don't know the causes of the crash yet. We don't know what happened. But what we do know is that there was a crash, and what we do know is that people did not do their job somewhere along the line. There's not a bolt of lightning that comes from the sky and a plane crashes. When a plane crashes, something has gone wrong. Somebody has done something wrong. And it's very, very important that we try to ensure that these mistakes are not repeated.
Well, anyway, you say, before you became aviation minister, there were 5 crashes, and that was the time of Professor Borishade, I remember then. And when you came on, in your words, you broke the cycle. It stopped during your tenure. What exactly did you and your team did to have actually stopped that ugly situation at that time?
Well, let me just say that I put it down to God alone be the glory, because I don't for 1 minute believe that I was there for 7 months, and I was a minister elsewhere before I went there. And I did other things before becoming minister. I was working as a presidential spokesman. But when I got there for that period of time, like I said, all the things that I mentioned earlier, full compliance, getting rid of the bad eggs, militancy in terms of doing your job, ensuring that you put the right people in the right place, compassion, and the desire to protect life. These are the things that helped us. And of course, also having a very good team of people that were working with me. And most importantly, I keep going back to this, yes, and I'm not ashamed to say so. Prayers, morning, day and night, hard work and prayer. This is what made a difference for us. And also, you need to understand something. We mustn't spiritualize these things too much, because I'm a practical man, but at the same time, I'm a great believer in the power of God. There are a lot of very strange things that are going on in that sector and in that ministry, and I think that some of these things need to be addressed in terms of prayer. I find it absolutely strange. I spoke in my essay about a number of cycles, 2 10-year cycles and so on and so forth. And one is careful about saying too much about these matters so that people do not get scared and people are not frightened. But the most important thing is that We will pray and leave the spiritual to the Lord, but we must work hard to ensure that we do the right things and that we support those that are there now to do the right thing. Where they need to be criticized, I will not hesitate, and nobody, no leader should hesitate from criticizing, but where they should be commended, we'll be the first to commend. And I think it's important to do both. We owe the Nigerian people, the flying public, that much, and we will continue to do that.
Well, we'll just take a moment now from Abuja. We'll come back to you just for us to go to the news studios for another look at the headlines, and we'll come back to you and wrap this up.
Thank you.
Okay. Over now to you, Cynthia. Well, many thanks, Cynthia. I'll close a moment now with Fani Kayode, former Minister of Aviation in the country. Well, Mark, I think you have the next short of question.
Yes, just one question before we round off. Mr. Fani Kayode, I just wanted to quickly find out from you. You know, you've talked about your faith in God, you've talked about prayers, you've talked about hard work. Did you sense that hard work was absent from this particular crash?
You know, like I said earlier, it's very difficult for us to make any determination now as to the cause of the crash. It is not helpful for me to begin to say this was as a consequence of lack of hard work on anybody's part. What I can say, however, is that it is important where there's a consistent pattern of behavior or a recurrent pattern of events that I should be able to say that, look, the minister needs to do a better job or consider the possibility of resignation. I can say that because something is going wrong. But I'm not prepared to say that this accident or any other accident was as a cause of anybody not doing their job. Something went wrong. Let the agencies investigate. I might add that it's very, very important that we get something clear. One of the most important aspects of within the aviation sector are the conclusions of those investigations. In my own experience and in my own time, what I discovered that virtually all the reports that were made concerning the investigations of various crashes that took place before I came in were all reports that were not accurate, which is specifically why I asked the president. I investigated it, the president investigated it. We compared the reports that were given by the aviation ministries at the time to the what they call the NTSB reports that the Americans filed, and you know they were completely different. We realized that our own people were covering up a lot of things, which is why we set up AIB. But the point is that it's very, very important that the people that are investigating should be able to ascertain specifically what went wrong before we say somebody didn't do their job or something went wrong. And you see, the thing about it is that because this is an area that a lot of people don't dig in. Let me give you an example. When I came into office, Nigeria had not had a radar system since 1979. We had no radar in this country. I mean, it's unbelievable. We used to use Ghanaian radar for people to fly into Lagos and other parts of the country. And one of the first things we did was to set up the 79 radar to cover the Lagos area. And then, of course, I now resurrected the TRACON program, funded it, and the president approved it, and now we have full radar coverage in this country because by the time the next administration came in, they now commissioned it, but we started that. Why I say that is this. There are so many things that the public may not know that's going on in aviation, but those within know, but very little has been done. And I'm glad that in the last few years, at least those that are there, are building up on the foundation that some of us established. We want to encourage them. However, at the same time, we want to insist that we let them know that we will not shy away from telling them that they may not be doing the right thing, particularly the person that is in charge of the sector. And I keep saying, I am prepared to have a one-on-one debate with the minister directly, not her aides, not her associates, not anybody, the minister directly, about her tenure if she has any reservations about some of the things that I've said. Having said that, I don't want to make life difficult for her. We should encourage her. We should support her. But where I believe she may be getting it wrong, or those under her are getting it wrong, we need to be able to criticize effectively to keep them all on their toes, to protect the lives of our people. They deserve that much.
Well, we'd like to thank you so very much. I think I'm afraid that's all time will allow us to take. Or hope that we'll be able to bring you back to the studio to look at so many other national issues you've commented on, written on, and of course spoken about. Many thanks, Fani Kayode, former Minister of Aviation.
Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it takes a moment now, and we'll be back shortly.